How's it going, everyone? My name's Ep.3, the owner of Gaming Tracks Radio, and welcome back to another episode of Gaming Tracks. And let me just tell you, this Summer Game Fest that happened on Friday, probably one of the best events I've personally watched. And I don't really watch, I didn't start watching this stuff until maybe a couple years back. And let me just say, this is way better than the Game Awards that occurred last year. Way better. Going from Resident Evil and then going to Alien Isolation 2 and a new Stellar Blade, an expansion for Monster Hunter Wilds, some 007 content. It just goes on and on and on and on. But Final Fantasy Revelation. No more of that Part 3 nonsense. I'm so glad we're done and over with that. But I'll be talking more about that alongside my friend Nathan in the second half of the show. I don't want to talk too much about that because I really want to bring him into the conversation. I actually have a Games for Impact. It was my first listener, so this is actually really awesome. His name is Gary, and he's going to be talking about games that he's experienced back in the 1980s.
But there was a guy up there that was probably like 10 years older than me. So if I was like maybe 13 at the time, this guy was probably 20, maybe. I believe he took Taekwondo or karate or something like that. And he would hit that button so fast because the faster you hit the button, the faster you ran in track and field.
Thank you for making that submission, Gary. The story does get really funny, so if you want to stay tuned for that, it'll occur later on in the show. Thank you for making that submission. We'll be listening to that later. But Summer Game Fest. So I started doing watch parties with my friends, and let me just tell you, being able to come together and watch something as a collective versus watching it on Discord or, just watching it on a live stream. And there's nothing wrong with watching it on Discord or watching it through live streams or anything, but there's just something tangible and something beneficial when you watch an event like this amongst your friends while they're there. Because we ended up having some pizza, we had cookies, some soda. I mean, we were living the bachelor's dream, I could tell you that much. But we were really excited for the second half of the summer game. I really don't want to talk too much about it, but I'm just gonna stick to the watch party because I really want to talk about Part 3 so bad. But I'm just gonna have to hold my tongue till the second half of this episode. But the entire time we were screaming, we were shouting. I have a feeling that the neighbors thought there was something going on over here at my house. They were probably a little concerned, if I'm being honest. But we were so, there was some surprises. My friend loves listening to artists and various types of music. He has a very broad genre of music. And when he saw Tupac on that Stranger Than Heaven trailer, first of all, I thought it was funny just seeing him appear to begin with, but my friend went absolutely ballistic. He just started screaming. You just had to be there. I ended up filming the latter half of his reaction, so I'll just show that. But oh my gosh, I really wish I recorded. He's just screamed. It kind of scared me a little bit, but oh my gosh, he was hollering, dude. It was so funny.
From a legal standpoint, how? How? How did they pull it off from a legal standpoint?
But basically, this was only the start. I truly believe he screamed louder when he saw Tupac than Part 3. Let me show you the clip for Part 3, and this will speak for itself of how excited he is for Tupac.
More?
What the hell?
More?
Dude, why are they showing us more?
Dude, this game is really complete, dude. This might come out.
Is far.
This might come out this year.
No way it comes out.
No,
There's a lot.
they're showing us. This is like
This is a lot.
This is like a state of play.
No, this is.
This
big.
was like the Rebirth state of play type of content, dude.
This is a lot.
This might be this fall.
With how much you're shown, I wouldn't be shocked. I still think January 27th, but oh my gosh.
Spring.
Oh!
Switch 2! Switch 2 multi-platform!
Let's go.
But yeah, I think for me, what really got me excited was seeing that it was going to release day one on all platforms. Because my friend, he's been dying to play Rebirth, and he's finally able to play both Remake and Rebirth this year. So to have Revelations, I need to get used to saying that, but to have Revelations be available on all platforms, it really makes me excited for him, but also gives me the reason to try to finish the game first, because I don't want to get spoiled whatsoever. So, like, being able to share that reaction between me and him as we both play Revelation, it's going to be a really enjoyable experience that honestly I haven't been able to share with anyone in my personal life, because I'm typically the only one that plays Final Fantasy VII amongst most of my friends, and most of them, like the ones that do play Final Fantasy VII, they own Nintendo Switches, so they were never able to play this stuff until this year. So seeing it on multi-platform day one is what really got me excited. So, like, Jeff Keighley, like, seriously, man, what a great summer game fest. This is probably the best summer game fest I've ever watched. So many game releases, so many announcements, just a lot of reveals and whatnot. Like, oh my gosh, like, it honestly makes me question what will the Game Awards look like? Because normally the Summer Game Fest is the weaker of the two events. So if Summer Game Fest is just packed with all these games, what will the Game Awards look like this year? Well, what are we talking about? Like Persona? Like what? Like Kingdom Hearts? Like, what are we looking at for the Game Awards? Because this was awesome. I loved this. Like, I want to see this for every event. Don't go anywhere. We have a Games for Impact coming up. But just to celebrate Final Fantasy VII Revelations announcement, let's play The High Wind Takes to the Skies.
It is time to brace for impact.
Brace for impact. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Gaming Tracks Radio. My name's Alexander Petrie, and for today's Games for Impact, I actually had a memo submission. It's the very first submission I've had on this radio show, and let me tell you, this is the perfect submission right here. It's going to be Gary discussing the games that he's experienced in the 1980s. Take a listen.
My name's Gary, and I wanted to share some of the games that impacted me through life. Basically, before I was 10 and as a teenager, I actually was at the forefront of pretty much the start of video games. And the games that really impacted me, the first video game that I remember getting for Christmas was Atari Pong. and it was a black console. I believe it had some wood grain on it, which was weird. But the controllers were actually built into the console. The console actually took batteries. I believe it had an AC adapter, but it's hard for me to remember. But I do remember that the console took batteries as well. Took like maybe 4 to 6 C batteries, I think it was. It was in black and white. As a little kid, probably in the late 70s, that was like so new because never before could you actually interact with your TV. So prior to that, there's nothing that allowed you to interact with your TV. TV was made for watching movies. It was made for watching news and TV shows. Prior to video games coming out, it was unheard of. So it was actually unique to play that Pong, and me and my brother played that over and over and over and over again. The next console that I remembered getting was in the early 80s, probably around 82, and that was the Atari 2600. Now, what made that unique is that it was the first time that you could actually play cartridges. One of the first games I ever played that really had an impact on me was Missile Command. The funniest thing is I think it was like 16 colors. So this game system was 16 colors, but I only had a 12-inch black and white TV. So for the first few years of playing this game, I was using a 12-inch black and white TV. So I never actually got to see the video game in color, but I would spend like 6 hours at the kitchen table playing Missile Command. And boy, that was a fun game. It really was something different. You know, prior to actually getting the game system, I remember going up to Sears with our family. My brother Terry and my brother Dennis were playing that game system. They had it on an end cap. It was a display, but you could actually play video games. One of the games they had was Tank Battle. It was so unique. No time before that have you ever seen anything like that. It was so funny because my brother Dennis had a little bit of experience in that game. I don't know if he had friends that had that game. I can't quite remember. He was actually beating the heck out of my brother Terry. Because it was so new, you could see my brother Terry getting frustrated, and I was laughing and laughed so hard that I peed my pants in Sears. Now, at the time, I was very young. I was probably 9 or something like that. I just couldn't hold myself because it was just so funny. That's the impact that those games had on me. And one of the games that I really, really wanted to play, but you couldn't find it anywhere. It was very expensive. I mean, video games back then were still like $40-$60. So very few games were under $40. So, I wanted to play Space Invaders. Space Invaders was hard to find. It was sold out. Every time you went to the store to get Space Invaders, it was sold out. So I ended up never, ever actually owning Space Invaders, but I had friends that actually had it. I remember having a friend, his name was Larry, and I'd go over his house and I would play that game. He had his console hooked up to his color TV. It was so neat to be able to play those games in color because I wasn't allowed to hook it up to our main TV. So I had to play it on a little black and white TV. So it was very unique to see this in a much larger TV. And when I say larger, we're talking about TV, it's like 27 inches. So it wasn't what you consider large today, but back then, that was a big TV. That was probably my experience with video game consoles. I didn't care for the Pac-Man they had on the 2600. I thought it was not very good compared to the arcade games because we used to go up to the mall all the time and play arcade games. I was more interested in skill games like Jungle Hunt and Track and Field. I would play those over and over and over at the arcade game up at Beaver Valley Mall. So this was in Beaver County. I remember going up to the arcade games playing Track and Field. I was actually pretty good at it, but there was a guy up there that was probably 10 years older than me. So if I was maybe 13 at the time, this guy was probably 20. Maybe. I believe he took Taekwondo or karate or something like that. And he would hit that button so fast because the faster you hit the button, the faster you ran in Track and Field. So to go over hurdles, to throw the javelin, things like that. And that game really was a fun game. And it was based on skill, but some of the other games that really paved the way for me was like Jungle Hunt, where you'd have to swing over vines and swim with crocodiles. And then you would have to like run up a volcano while these balls of fire were coming down. And you have to jump over the balls of fire. I remember playing Frogger. That was fun. Pinball machines were really, in my opinion, the first arcade games because they involved music, sound effects. It kept scores digitally, which was basically like a video game. So that I played a lot. And I think that was where my love of skill games came from. So even to today, I would rather play some of the Nintendo racing games and things like that, like Mario Kart, stuff like that. I really enjoy those types of games. I remember when the Wii Fit came out and you would do like, long jump or whatever, or you do golf, bowling, things like that. Those are the type of games I like. I just thought I'd give my 2 cents here and just say, hey, this is why I fell in love with video games. And it was very early on. And I just want to thank you for allowing me to express my feelings on this.
Thank you, Gary, for submitting that Games for Impact. It really does mean a lot to me. But it seems very interesting, your own story for your Games for Impact. Now, experiencing that stuff in the 80s, I don't necessarily would, relate to that exactly, but you mentioned skill games, and probably one of my childhood skill games that I've experienced was SSX Tricky. Oh my gosh, I loved SSX Tricky. It was one of my favorite. It was honestly probably one of my if I'm being honest, that's probably my favorite racing game ever. Like, I don't think there is a number 2. I loved how in SSX Tricky, you can go ahead and do all these sorts of tricks and try to get high scores. But there was some lines that like grinding that would take you through shortcuts and stuff. And it required some skill, like some practice to it, because it would be really difficult and challenging, because there would be some maps, like races, where some of the grinding spots were pretty difficult, and especially some of the game modes in SSX Tricky, where you would have to score points and try to reach a certain threshold. Man, there was certain ones, like on certain maps, they were really, really difficult for me. And I don't know if it's just because of the age that I was, but that was just really hard for me to do when I was younger. And another skill game, and I'll mention this, another skill game that I played that was, it was, I more or less enjoyed it for the party games, but Super Monkey Ball 2 on the GameCube. Trying to balance the monkey and like when you go farther into some of the levels, they got really, really hard and almost aggravating, but it required a lot of skill in balance, really. Like it really tested your patience and just your overall flexibility in trying to maneuver things and in the flick of your thumbs and that was just some of the games that I grew up on where it required a lot of skill, and it wasn't something that you would get down pat just by picking up the controller. It required practice. And I'm with you, like the skill games. There's some people out there like the person you mentioned, the quote unquote, he must have taken Taekwondo. I thought that was really funny, but there's some people out there, like, you could play on and on and on and on, but you just can't. You just can't outdo the people that are naturally gifted. And to me, that's what really separates the casual players from the really great players. And it just requires practice. And maybe the age difference was a big factor in that. But thank you for sharing your Games for Impact. It really means a lot for this radio station. It really helps me personally, just knowing that there's people out there that acknowledge my radio station, and thank you for submitting your games for Impact. If you guys would also like to submit your games for Impact, you could do that either through the Voice Memos app on Apple or the Voice Recorder app on Android. Send that over to Alexander@gamingtracks.com. That's Alexander@gamingtracks.com. It doesn't have to be perfect. If there's stuff playing in the background, I have software on my computer that can help clean that up. So it doesn't have to be dead silent. Go ahead and send your games for Impact over, and you'll end up on the show. Don't go anywhere. Me and Nathan's going to be talking about the Summer Game Fest as well as the recently announced Final Fantasy VII Revelation. And oh my gosh, there's so much to unpack here. But in the meantime, here is My Castle Town by Toby Fox. Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name's Alexander Ep.3, and welcome back to Gaming Tracks. I have here with me Nathan. I concluded that there was so much to unpack here for Final Fantasy VII Revelation that we could just go ahead and start discussing our thoughts on the trailer. They also revealed a lot of stuff through interviews after the trailer, and we'll talk about that on Thursday. But what was your thoughts on the reveal itself from Jeff Keighley and how he kind of approached the announcement itself?
Man, what a whirlwind. Just what an absolute whirlwind. That's all I can say. Just like, because right before we got this trailer, we had Capcom showing off their Year 4 DLC for Street Fighter 6.
Mm-hmm.
And they were showing all the DLC characters they've had up to this point. And then right as you think the trailer's about to end, Tifa just does an uppercut, and it gets announced that Tifa from Final Fantasy VII is getting added to Street Fighter 6. And then immediately right after, we get Final Fantasy VII Part 3, also now known as Revelation announcement trailer.
Yeah.
It was insane.
When Hamaguchi appeared on the stage, I knew right away we were going to get Final Fantasy VII Part 3, which is Revelation. Because he wouldn't just appear at any good old Summer Game Fest without showing something. Otherwise, he'd probably get mugged before leaving the event. But the fact that the way that Jeff Keighley presented it, he's like, "All right, we'll see you guys later this year." You know, he's trying to like troll everybody because he does that a lot. I remember, I think it was last Summer Game Fest or maybe a couple years back. He went on and said, "Oh, speaking of Final Fantasy, DoorDash has your back." He loves trolling, like, but he does it in a fun way that, you know, when he does this stuff, I honestly think it's really, I'd probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
I would totally do the same thing, but the way he presented it, and he's like, "Get ready for the final battle." That could only mean one thing.
Oh, yeah.
And that's Final Fantasy VII Revelation. But looking at this trailer, you see like Cloud being held up by Sephiroth. And to me, like the imagery here with almost like Cloud being Sephiroth's puppet. In watching all these robed individuals underneath Sephiroth, that just shows to me that Sephiroth's biggest part to his plan is Cloud. And that's what I get from the beginning of this trailer, is that
like
he
the way
wants...
it opens, it's almost like in a way, it's almost like this like kind of like really like utopian, like almost like a Renaissance kind of style painting almost even. Like it's really weird.
Yeah, a lot of people on Twitter took screenshots of that Sephiroth clip, and they said, "Oh man, this is the best clip from any of the trailers, from any Final Fantasy VII content, really."
Mm.
But this second picture, like this second clip that they show with the helicopter going across the screen, you got the meteor up in the sky in the background. Do you recognize what this clip is, Nathan? Do you know what this scene specifically is?
Wait, are you saying like Meteor, like over
this
Midgard?
this
Like,
scene from the original game is when they attached the sister ray in Midgar.
oh yeah.
And they cut it off right here before they showed Midgar. So when they showed this and they cut out the black, I was like, "Ooh." I'm like, this is getting really good. And then you got Ultimate Weapon with his hand coming through the crater. I'm like, man, they're really hyping this stuff up. And then you got Ultimate Weapon in almost like this hurricane. It feels darker as you're watching this. Like the entire time you're watching this, it's like a darker tone to it. And it just shows the stakes and how high they've been raised going from remake to rebirth to revelation. But I know you never played Rebirth yet. You're currently in the Yuffie DLC.
I am in the Yuffie DLC. I have my copy of Rebirth. It is here. It is sitting with me.
Yeah, I don't want to go into too much spoilers regarding Rebirth, but you did mention, where is Aerith?
Yeah, where's Aerith?
There's no Aerith in this, but there's no Aerith in these trailers. But then we recognize Aerith in the box art.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
We kind of paused and we're like, wait a minute, what is going on here? Like,
so I'm interested to see the lore and story implications of that.
Yeah, and you're already familiar with, because you finished up Remake, and you're already familiar with the direction they're going with the whole with the whole timeline stuff. So
yeah,
it makes me question whether or not Aerith will be in another timeline alongside Zack.
Yeah. And something else to note on what, like, presumably what is that art confirmed to be the cover art for the game? Do you know?
I think so.
If it's presumably the cover art, I think it's something that I actually haven't really seen many people talk about. Sephiroth's One Wing, it actually like kind of hovers over Aerith, which I think is it's interesting. And again, I'm curious to see what the intent there is.
Yeah, I do believe it is the cover art, because if I remember correctly, when they revealed Rebirth and had the cover art for Rebirth, I think it was the Rebirth box art. So I do believe that that is the Revelation box art that they showed, which I think the box art, I'm sorry, but I'm a big fan of minimalism.
Yeah.
So, and when I saw the box art, the first thing I thought of was like Marvel, and I'm not a huge fan of the whole let's show every character on the street, because I think it's so overdone now.
I think it is, but I think it's very intentional though. Like, I think they want it to be.
Oh yeah,
like, this grand,
I think it's intentional of them having specifically Zack and Aerith on either side,
like paralleling,
with Sephiroth hovering over everybody, almost representing the person who's in control. Is like Sephiroth trying to like push the game into a specific direction. I think the way that they did the characters in the box art was intentional. I just think how they do box art like that, I just think it's a little bit overused. Looking into this trailer, when they showed the high wind, they just went right through it. Like, they didn't have the high wind getting lifted up off the ground or anything like that. They just cut straight into the high wind flying. So my hype just went from 0 to 100. And in this specific clip, you got the meter in the top right, and then it seems like you have both Gongaga and Cosmo Canyon on the right side here. And it seems like they're intentionally not trying to show Wutai, because I honestly could not see Wutai whatsoever in any of the trailers. And later on, you'll see the high wind again, and I did not see Wutai whatsoever. So I don't know if they cropped it out in the trailer, which would make sense. But that's, like, to me, that's what I think. I think they just cropped out Wutai in general because they don't want to spoil the game.
Yeah.
But it does make you question, did they move Wutai? Like, is it not on, like, exactly on the west side anymore? Like, is it more southwest or what? That's my biggest question is, did they move it or did they crop it out? But going on through the trailer here, you see everyone jumping off the high wind. They just went straight for this, dude.
Oh,
and
yeah.
when you watch this, what'd you say? What'd you say when you saw Cloud jumping down?
When I saw Cloud just jumping off the high wind, the first thing I said was Fortnite, because I don't know what else to compare it to. I was just like, wow, they added Fortnite into the game.
Yeah, and I was thinking they added Fortnite in Final Fantasy VII before Final Fantasy VII and Fortnite.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But when you jump off the high wind, I'm thinking, because there is no jump button in Rebirth, so I'm questioning what the limitations to jumping off the high wind is.
Yeah.
But if you could land anywhere, does that mean there is a jump button they'll add in Rebirth?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because to me, that was the first thing I thought of, because it seems like they're giving us full, like, no limits to jumping off the high wind.
It seems like there's gonna be a lot of freedom with that, and I hope there is.
But we see some Vincent gameplay. It seems like
He's just aura farming. The whole entire trailer, he just aura farms. It's awesome.
the way he jumps off the high wind, no
parachute,
arms
nothing.
out. He just jumps as if he's diving in a freaking swimming pool or something. He's just going all in. But when you see Vincent here, and I think they just discussed this in the gameplay trailer, but his regular form is all directed towards long range combat. So he uses his pistols and stuff like that. But they stated you could switch to his Galleon Beast at any time.
And there's no timer
by
on it
the
either.
press of a button. And you get to control him. Which is what, honestly, that's what I was hoping for. Because I'd love to control Vincent. But when you switch to his Galleon Beast form, then he becomes a melee attacker. So I'm curious if there's going to be specific enemies that will have a weakness specifically against Vincent. Like, will Vincent be strong in his Galleon Beast form against specific enemies? If so, that would encourage us to engage in Vincent's other forms.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
In going through here, it seems like you see Leviathan with Sid, and then you got Tifa here with Cloud wearing different costumes. They showed jobs, dude. Characters have jobs now. I did not expect that.
Oh yeah, no, that's huge. And now you can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was said after. I think each character's now have 4 different costumes. I believe.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. They did say there's 4 different costumes, but the question is, what costumes will there be? Because they did. Because they.
I don't know. I feel like Advent Children's a given. I feel like that's kind of. Yeah. I feel like there's no way they don't do that.
You didn't play Rebirth. There is costumes in Rebirth.
Not yet.
But they don't have any passive abilities or anything like that.
These ones do, though, however. These ones do.
You're not able to pick and wear the costumes wherever you want in Rebirth until after you complete the game. So it seems like they're injecting it directly into the game to wear at any time. But so far, from what I've seen in the trailer and the gameplay reveal stuff, Black Mage and Warrior. What I will say is that there's a very intentional reason on why they included these costumes. And that's because Aerith will not be in this game. Or at least not in the main party, because obviously from what we've seen in the trailers thus far, she's not in there. So I would say this was their way of saying this is how we'll substitute, so that with Black Mage, we'll have someone who can do magic like Vincent or something. Now, will I have, because what they did was they had Tifa here. She had the costume of a Black Mage on. Will I have Tifa as a Black Mage? Absolutely not. She's just completely brute force. She's a highly intense physical attacker. and they would have to do some pretty crazy stuff for me to have Tifa be a black mage, but I don't think I'll ever have Tifa be a black mage, in my opinion.
It is a nice compromise, though, for people who, want to have a magic attacker in their team, I suppose, though.
But from the gameplay that you've seen so far, and I'll say this. So Sid, I heard, was basically an aerial version of Red 13. So Red 13 is more of a ground support. He can't go in the air. So Sid's going to be an aerial support type of character. So my question to you is, what you played of the Yuffie DLC and remake, who do you think interests you for your party of 3?
Man, I'm boring. Every time I played, whenever I played Final Fantasy VII for the PS1, I'm a Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett type guy. I'm boring. Yeah. I'm basic, I know, but
you see, I
don't know what to say. They're
I am
characters.
A Cloud and Tifa type of person. Barrett, I just think he's really slow. He's really slow. He's more of a tank type of character. But I would say Aerith. But what my party of 3 might be now, probably Cloud, Tifa. Actually, no. Cloud, Yuffie, and Vincent. I feel like that's going to be my party of 3.
Interesting.
Because I love Yuffie. I think her abilities are some of my favorite.
From what I've played in the DLC, they're pretty good. They're pretty fun. I do enjoy them a bit.
And then they ended up changing. Now, I did hear this, and I will mention this. So they tied the main weapons, quote unquote, because that's what they called them, the main weapons, to the main story. While these substitute weapons, because these are like additional weapons. Now you'll find out as you play Rebirth. I hope I'm not spoiling too much for you, man. Like, I really hope I'm not.
Not really.
But there's like substitute smaller weapons or whatnot that you'll face optionally. And it seems like this is how they're going to have us tackle these smaller weapons. It's weird because it seems like they have these lasers and stuff going on here as a way to attack them. Otherwise, we would just be straight up attacking their feet, which I think would not be fun at all.
It looks like one Monster Hunter there in the trailer in that part, like the later half of it with them. It's awesome.
But it kind of looks like this smaller weapon that they're attacking here is in Medial. That's what it looks like to me. Mm-hmm. Either that or wait, let me play this again. It looks like Medial.
That's what
and then they show a glimpse of Ruby, and then a glimpse of Ultimate Weapon. And this is what I'm thinking, dude. All right, this might actually make you very curious. Okay, you'll raise an eyebrow.
Let me hear.
I think they're going to change how we obtain huge materia.
I can see it.
So I think each one of these weapons, I don't know if you can see on my screen.
Yeah, I can.
But each one of these weapons has a certain color to them, like a core.
I was just about to say like a core.
And you saw Sapphire towards the end of the reveal, and how Sapphire had like a blue core. What if each of these weapons are tied to one of the huge materia? Ruby would be Master Summon. And there might be new masters as well. But Emerald will be Master Magic. And then Master Command would be Diamond. Okay, so you got the yellow, the green, and the red. What if the purple materia would be tied to Ultimate Weapon, because he has a purple core, and what was the last? Oh, Sapphire. Sapphire has a blue core. What if that's tied to a Master Independent? What if they add more Master materia, dude?
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities.
I'm just saying, like, what if? And I think this would be really cool. Okay, What if we're on a train in North Corel and we're fighting Ruby Weapon as we're going along this train? And that's how we obtain the Master Summon materia. Because what if, and I'm just thinking of this out loud, what if Shinra is trying to destroy the weapons and the Avalanche is trying to attack the weapons just as much because they're just as much of a threat to Avalanche as it is to Shinra? What if the story is who can defeat the weapons first?
That would be
who can gain the huge materia first by defeating these weapons? That's my thoughts on that. And then the elephant in the room right here, the very end, and I feel like they saved this to the very end on purpose. They change Sephiroth's voice actor.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on that, man?
I think it's super unfortunate, especially considering he, it's been the same voice actor for 2/3 of the project, and for him to not return on the third project due to timing and scheduling conflicts, it really is a bummer. However, I think the person that they have filling in his shoes, I think sounds great.
You want to know why?
Why is that?
Because he also plays Superman.
Oh, wow. Well, there you go.
I don't know if you heard the sort of conspiracy theory, but every single Sephiroth that they've had also played a Superman. Did you know that?
I did not know that. That's incredible.
Yeah, every single voice actor for Sephiroth played Superman.
That's awesome.
Yeah, even the one way back in Advent Children, like every single voice
Even
actor for Sephiroth.
Even in Kingdom Hearts?
I think yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, every single one. So I don't know if that's what they're looking for. They're like, does this guy play Superman? If so, he's hired.
He's got the job, yeah.
But I think here's my issue. I think people are hating on the new guy way too much, especially since he only has one line.
Agreed.
I don't hate the guy. Like that's the thing. I think I remember a time when everyone hated Tyler when he was casted as Sephiroth. Everyone said, "Oh, he doesn't sound right. You know, it's something that I'm not familiar with, not used to." Everyone hates a new voice actor when they find out that there's a new voice actor. But it's not until you play the game and then you get used to it, or you don't. But it's not until you play the game that you finally determine your opinion on it.
Yeah. I feel like it's not a lot. It's not enough to go off of yet.
Yeah. Well, Sephiroth's not mouthing here like it's just all overdubbed or whatnot. Like we only hear Sephiroth's voice itself. I don't think that's a fair judgment, especially since it's only one line. But the name and the logo, I think it's so fascinating that the color, everyone was wrong.
Yeah.
Everybody.
No. It was like so obvious and just no one guessed it.
And well, that's the thing. Everyone's sitting here thinking, okay, so Remake doesn't really have much of a color to it. Maybe like a little bit of a cyan. Rebirth has red. So the third one's obviously one of the colors of the rainbow, right?
And no, it's just PS1 original logo.
Yep. PS1, it's been staring at us for nearly 30 years.
Yep.
For 30 years, and not too many. I know Genesis 7 guessed the color right on the head. He actually got it right. I honestly couldn't believe that Jen got it right. But the name, I thought the name would be something with the re sound to it in the beginning, like remake, rebirth, maybe reunion or relive. But no, it's revelation. I did not expect that. Do I hate it? No. There's several names I thought would have been worse than this. But Revelation does sound like a finale to me.
For sure.
I actually love the name.
I like the name a lot too.
It sounds big. I think it fits the theme. Things are getting revealed. We're getting answers. I think the name fits a finale to a series that we don't have firm answers to. Because we really don't. We don't know what the hell's going on. In Revelation fits the conclusion. And it's a finale of a name. It's the last book in the Bible. And to me, it sounds like Nomura. Does it not?
For sure.
Because there's a lot like Return. That doesn't sound like Nomura at all.
No.
But Revelation,
That's a Nomuraism.
That's in the Nomuraism for sure. But Spring. Now, when I first saw this reveal, when I first saw the not the date reveal, but the time frame, spring 2027, I thought it was going to get released this year because they were showing us trailer after trailer after trailer. And honestly felt like I was getting gunshot wounds to the chest. I thought it was coming out this year because they were showing us way too much.
They were showing us a lot, especially after not hearing anything or seeing anything.
Yeah, I could tell you right now, Hamaguchi was... How does someone keep their mouth quiet for so long?
That's right.
But spring 2027. It's a little bit disappointing that we couldn't get this on the 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad that it is later. Because...
give them as much time as I can to work on it.
Well, not just that, but it gives me enough time to save enough money to buy a new PC.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, but my PC ended up breaking, and I'm using my laptop right now to record with my microphone right here in my audio interface. It's actually not bad. It's actually not bad for recording because it's pretty quiet.
Joke's on you. I'll be playing this game on my Nintendo Switch 2, which also was announced that it's going to be on all platforms day one.
Oh, dude, we were freaking out for that.
Yeah, which that is huge. I know a lot of people were kind of speculating, ourselves included. We're pretty confident that was going to happen, but it's still kind of crazy to see, especially with the first two parts being Sony exclusives.
Yeah.
So that's definitely really big news.
I think that's it for the trailer. All right, guys, that's got to do it for today's episode. If you guys haven't yet, go ahead, check out gamingtracks.com. If you ever miss an episode, you could always find the episodes on there. We're also on Spotify and all the major streaming platforms that offer podcasts. Thanks for being here, Nathan. It really means a lot to me.
It's been a pleasure.
And we'll see you guys next time.
See you around. Bye-bye.